Hey guys, so today I want to talk about this thing called the Pareto principle, which is also known as the 80-20 rule. I actually was using it today, which made me think of it, but it's basically saying that 80% of your results come from 20% of your efforts. Meaning, if you took something that you're doing and only did 20% of what needed to be done, if you prioritize right and you actually chose the correct things to work on, you could still get 80% of that result. So, in action, if you want to work 40 hours a week and make $100,000 a year, that means if you only work on the correct stuff, you could work 8 hours a week and make $80,000 a year. So you're doing a fifth of the work for 80% of the output. And where this gets powerful is when you stack it. And so instead of working 40 hours a week and making $100,000 a year, you could work 8 hours a week at five different jobs. And like I said, 8 hours is $80,000. But at five different jobs, eight times five is 400. So eight times five is 40, add the zeros, right? And that means that you could work the same amount, prioritizing the correct things, and you would be making four times the amount. And that's kind of how I look at the Pareto's principle, or the 80-20 rule, is not necessarily I have to do a fifth of the work and get 80% of results. It's I can do the same amount of work, prioritize correctly, and 4x my results. And that is pretty much the punchline of the entire video. If you learn to prioritize properly, this means that identify only the key things that will drive a majority of the outputs. So, a good example is if you want to start making YouTube videos. Well, I would say you get about 50 or 60% of there just by posting a video, putting on a thumbnail and a title. That's it. You don't even have to really think about necessarily what you're going to put. You could make the perfect YouTube video and it would probably still not get that many views because realistically, at least a lot of the time, YouTube isn't necessarily determined by the quality of your video. It's consistent videos because one of them will pop. And so just because somebody made the perfect video doesn't mean they're posted and it's instantly going to get 10 million views. They might have to post 10, 20, 30 of those videos before one of them does pop. And inevitably, since it's way better, gets that many views. But it means prioritize the things that matter. So where I was applying this in my life is I'm posting some gigs on Fiverr, which is like a freelance platform, because I make like iOS apps, websites, AI stuff, and I wanted more leads for my business. And so Fiverr is basically just like free traffic, right? It's like a search engine for my business. And so I'm starting my Fiverr gigs, and I'm limited to four because I'm not paying them and I'm new to the platform, right? And so I was thinking, okay, realistically, I could be doing cold email outreach right now. I could be making YouTube videos. I could be doing all these other things that are still going to drive my business. So it's not worth my time to study and spend weeks perfecting all the copy and the images to make the perfect Fiverr profile with the perfect gig so that I get maximum search and the maximum number of conversions. So I was like, okay, so I can make four. So, okay, I decided which four gigs or services I was going to do. And then I was like, okay, 80-20 this. So 80-20 would be I need to make a video for each of the gigs. I need to price them and tell them what they're going to get. Just fill out the general gigs. And then I need to price them competitively, look at other competitors. And then I need to make a cover for the gigs and then put keywords. You can do FAQs, so frequently asked questions. You can do a description for your profile. You can do all the other things, but that doesn't matter. That's not part of the 80-20, right? The 20% that's going to drive the 80% of my results is just posting the gigs, having a video and a thumbnail for it, because then they're findable, and that is going to have 80% of my results. So if I perfectly edit a bunch of cover images, think of it as like a product page, right? On Amazon, you have the main product page and then you have all the other ones. How often did you look through all of the other pictures of the product you're going to buy on Amazon? You probably have, but maybe a fifth of the time, maybe less. And so why would I spend so much time, which that's where a majority of the time goes, perfecting those when I could go be doing cold emails, or I could go make content that's going to drive like traffic to my business, right? Why would I do that when I could better spend it elsewhere? It's diminishing returns. And so my time is best spent taking only a fifth of the effort, getting 80% of the results by simply making the gigs, adding a cover image because that's the only one 80% of people are going to look at, and then making a video for it. And then that's it. Because I'm not trying to run and be the king of five. Now, if you listen to Alex Ramosito, you'll have heard him talk about this kind of before. And he basically says like diminishing returns are still returns, and that's how you win, which is true. So he's basically arguing that the difference between 80 and 100% is the difference between the guy making $1 million a year and the guy making $1 billion a year, which is kind of true because that 20% difference is the effort, right? The guy working 20 extra hours a week for a 1% difference is inevitably, if you think of like a 1% each year, over the long run, he's going to win, right? But this video is not for the people who are already performing at the highest level. This is for the people who are like starting out like I am, right? Like hopefully if you're making more than $1 million a year from your business, like you shouldn't be listening to me because you know more than I do. Like you should be helping me, low-key. But like it's for those of you who are just trying to get started, learning to prioritize things. Just think about like if I were to do a fifth of the effort, or basically if I was going to do minimal effort, what do I have to do that would drive pretty much all the results? Like if I want gigs posted on Fiverr for my services, what little effort am I going to do that's going to drive pretty much all the results? Well, it's first like making the gigs. Secondly, what do people see? The cover photo. Okay, making the cover photo. What do people see when they click? The pricing and the video. Okay, so make the pricing the video. You can add FAQs, you can add descriptions, you can add cool like custom thingies, you can do all this other stuff, but like that's what's going to take up the other 80% of your time and only get you 20% more people. So why do that when your time is better spent going on elsewhere? So that's the Pareto's principle, 80-20 principle. Note that is not always exactly 80-20. It basically just means that a very small number of inputs is results in a very large majority of the outputs. Sometimes maybe 15% to 90%. You'll get the occasional tail where the 1% is 99%. In that case, do the 1%, do the one thing. It's kind of like how we'll use health as an example, and then I'll close because I'm rambling, right? But 80, 90, probably 70 actually, percent of your health is determined by your weight. So if you're overweight, the number one thing that you need to do is not look into what supplements you need to take. It's not to figure out how much you want to lift. It's not to figure out what your diet needs to be. Well, I guess diet's important, but like just lose the weight. That should be the only priority of yours. You don't need to be figuring out how you're going to do longevity. You don't need to figure out mobility. If you want to get healthy, the first thing you do is lose weight. That single action is going to reduce almost all of your like potential longevity or health problems by 80%, right? That's the principle in action. Literally, you do this one singular thing. Okay, I'm overweight, lose the weight. Whether it means you cut down on food or increase your exercise, doesn't matter to me. But that singular action is going to reduce your risk of any health problems by probably 80 or 90%, right? So just do that one thing. And then once you've done that one thing, then of course, identify the other things. But for my case, I just need to make 4 or 5 gigs and put a cover on them. Don't need to stress about it. Don't need to take 4 days to do it. I just need to do it. And the advantage of this is also speed, because oftentimes when you do that 1/5 of the effort, it's a lot faster. Obviously, it takes 1/5 of the time. And sometimes that input takes even less time than maybe it's not 1/5 of the time. You know what I mean? Maybe it's 1/5 of the work, but it takes you a 20th of the time or a 10th of the time, right? But it saves you time, and time is money because the person who gets it out faster, like if I wait 3 weeks to post my Fiverr gigs, like my services, versus I do the 80-20 and I post it tomorrow, well, I have an extra 2.5 weeks of exposure. The odds that I get somebody in those 2.5 weeks is pretty good, right? And that's the only goal. So apply this, learn to prioritize. You'll know which ones, like you can be honest with yourself, you'll know what to prioritize, because common thing is like, oh, I don't know what to prioritize. Like you need to post the Fiverr. You need to go to the gym, or you need to stop eating if you need to lose weight. So just do the thing that's obvious. Like it's pretty obvious what you need to do. So just do that. That's probably what the 80-20 is of it. So that's it. And I'll talk to y'all tomorrow. Peace.